The Ring tribe retreated. Zhu Shenji said to give them the order to pursue them. If they would not pursue them, they would fly far away. Cheng Dalei asked him not to worry as they were trying to draw them out. He noticed that the treetops shifted southwest, and the opposite. He believed that the enemy's retreat was actually a strategy to lure the troops, and once they left the line of sight, they would surround the Qingniu Mountains. Cheng Dalei smiled and ordered Zhu Shenji to go down and leave the city gate wide open. Zhu Shenji asked if he was going to send troops. Cheng Dalei snapped his finger and wondered what Zhu Shenji meant, as when the rings returned, they should prepare more crossbows and heavy stones and be prepared to give them a good treatment. The rings marched towards the vast forest. Kai Mei asked his subordinates if they came after them, to which the man replied not yet. He ordered the man to continue to observe. Under the crescent moon, Lin Xiaoyu thought that the Ring tribe was still camped within the vicinity of Qingniu Mountain. He wished for Cheng Dalei not to chase them out. Meanwhile, at the Ring tribe's camp, Hu Luxing said to Kai Mei that with the empire's thirst for greatness and success, when the enemy retreated, they should have gone out of the city and pursued the routed soldiers. He wondered if the empire was aware of their plans as they were still calm at the time. Kai Mei questioned how it was possible. How could they know that their retreat was real or fake as they didn't have a far-sighted person? Doubtful, Hu Luxing asked Kai Mei why they weren't coming out. Kai Mei responded that even if they didn't come out, they would just kill them when they were careless. Suddenly, a man came running reporting to Kai Mei that the Toad village was crowded inside and seemed to be celebrating. Kai Mei smirked, mumbling that it seemed that they had been scared out of their wits, and even if they retreated, they dared not to come out. The rings waited out, as another report came in that the number of soldiers at Toad village gates had dropped to 100. The man was ordered to scout again. Another report that the guards were down to 50, and another to scout again. Then the third report came as the man said that there were only a dozen of soldiers at the top of the city, and the city gates were open as they were gathering the weapons outside the city gates. Kai Mei stood up as his face darkened. Smirking, he told his man that they were going to attack the city and kill them all. Meanwhile, at the city gates, men were gathering corpses and weapons. All of a sudden, they noticed a rumble and looked from where it came from. They shouted that an enemy was coming and told their other companion to get inside the city. Gao Feibao smiled in relief and yelled that they were finally here. The Ring tribe gathered and charged towards the city gates with an intent to kill. They successfully infiltrated the gates. Kai Mei yelled the cavalry was inside and ordered his warriors of the steppe to kill them all and massacre the city. Men from the rings screamed to kill. At the top of the gate, Cheng Dalei ordered the gate closed. As the ring charged, a metal was heard clacking and rumbling as the gate closed. They left confused and were ordering their men to attack the city. Cheng Dalei summoned a siege hammer and instructed his archers to load and release. As a barrage of arrows fell down, the ring's eyes grew wide open. Kai Mei yelled in despair as he realized it was a trap and things were not looking good. He ordered his men to retreat, but it was too late as the arrows pierced some of his men and horses. Inside the city, Hu Luxing screamed to seize the gates and clear the way for the follow-up troops. However, their horses fell into a trap. The rings cursed as they fell in a trap. Hu Luxing ordered his men to control their horses and not to move as the enemy was coming. Warriors from the Toad village held their spears and yelled to kill the rings and attack their horses. The cavalry who lost their momentum could only be attacked by the well-trained spearmen. Hu Luxing and his horse were stabbed by countless spears as they called it heaven subduing. At the top of the gate, Zhu Shenji asked Cheng Dalei if they should leave a survivor. Cheng Dalei covered his mouth and answered what he meant by leaving a survivor. He ordered him to tell the archer to kill everyone. Zhu Shenji noticed that the handkerchief embroidery Cheng Dalei was using was exquisite. Cheng Dalei asked him whether it was true, after he told him that Su Ying embroidered it but that he didn't like to use it. Moving back to the battlefield, the archers kept releasing their arrows as many bodies of the rings lay dead on the ground. Kai Mei ordered his men to withdraw. Wounded, Kai Mei looked back at the city. Cheng Dalei asked Kai Mei to stay a bit longer and asked him if he was satisfied with his meal. Enraged, Kai Mei gritted his teeth and threatened Cheng Dalei that he would kill him and chop him 1,000 times. Cheng Dalei called him an uneducated barbarian and asked him what qualifications he had to bark in front of him as he was a defeated man. He pointed at him and said that those who are unrestrained would be stabbed, and those who violate their country would be pearled even if they were far away. And as he continued to taunt him for dating a beast who ate the raw flesh of birds and beasts to try to get their nation's weapon, he declared that he would punish him today in place of heaven. He ended his speech that Kai Mei was already defeated, to which Kai Mei's jaw dropped in humiliation. Kai Mei lost consciousness and fell. Confused, Cheng Dalei thought that the first time he saw this was when he was a student. The rings gathered around Kai Mei's tent, asking how he was. Someone mentioned that his illness was troublesome. He informed them that it was a heart disease and a heart disease needed heart medicine. The man said to Kai Mei that the medicine was ready, as he would get well after drinking it. Kai Mei sat down holding a cup and looked down, wondering how they could see through his plan. He speculated if it was because their retreat had flaws or if it was because the other side had farsighted eyes and knew their movements. Kai Mei's hands were shaking as he couldn't see through it, and wondered why the enemies knew everything about their movements. The cup in his hands fell and shattered. In his depressive state, he thought that after being besieged for nearly 20 days, the 10,000 cavalry used to beat any type of enemies they encountered. On the contrary, this time their side suffered heavy casualties, and now he had only 4,000 survivors left. He questioned himself how he could face his tribesmen and his father now. A man showed up calling Kai Mei brother. Jin Wendao, the 9th prince of the Northern Ringers, said that Kai Mei was really disappointing. Kai Mei asked Jin Wendao why he was here. Jin Wendao stepped forward and said he didn't need to come in person if Kai Mei were more useful. He pointed his fan at Kai Mei's head and asked him if he got what his father wanted. Kai Mei denied and said that the enemy was very cunning. Jin Wendao responded that he was still boasting in front of their father after 20 days of fighting, and he still couldn't break through the city. He informed Kai Mei that he would take over everything now that he was here. Kai Mei assured Jin Wendao that his illness was not critical and he could still lead the army. As he slapped the fan, Kai Mei said he would break through the Toad village and get what their father wanted if he gave him more time. Jin Wendao retorted that he would teach him what war was all about and that it was not about his illness, but Kai Mei's brain, as he was too stupid. He looked down on Kai Mei and told him that if he couldn't die from his illness, he just needed to keep his eyes open and watch how he broke through the city in 3 days. Outside the Ring tribe camp, Ring men ordered Meng Zian to clean up the horse manure. The men mocked him, calling him weak-kneed. Meng Zian huffed in exhaustion as he pushed a cart full of dirt. He arrived at a quiet area and stopped and ate his food, thinking that he was now used to that kind of insult as he did it every day. Meng Zian thought that if he got a chance to lead the army into the Toad village, he would be able to kill Cheng Dale. He believed that he could still get Liu Jihan back, but changed his mind as she was not worth it and it was better to kill her. Sighing, Meng Zian claimed that the Ring tribe and Toad village were the same, as it was all about guys. He heard a rustle from the peak. His eyes widened and noticed that the tree at the top of the hill was moving. He claimed that there was someone up there. Sweating, Meng Zian realized what it meant. After a while, he climbed at the Bullhorn Peak and saw Lin Xiaoyu sitting. Realizing that he knew Lin Xiaoyu was, Meng Zian smirked as he thought that it seemed that the opportunity that he had been waiting for had appeared. He slowly approached Lin Xiaoyu. However, the wind made a rustling noise. Lin Xiaoyu turned to look and questioned if what he saw was an illusion. Back at the Ring tribe camp, Jin Wendao asked Meng Zian if he was sure. Kneeling, Meng Zian said he would be stabbed by 10,000 swords if there was a single lie in his words. Jin Wendao asked him if he was from the south, to which Meng Zian didn't respond. He asked him why he wanted to join them. Meng Zian answered that he had hatred for the bandit for taking his wife and he couldn't forget it. Jin Wendao smiled and told Meng Zian that from now on he could be his groom. Meng Zian was perplexed and questioned what he meant by groom, thinking that his report was so important but he only got a groom position. Jin Wendao tapped Meng Zian's head and assured him there would be a better position for him when he really kills Cheng Dale, to which Meng Zian agreed. Jin Wendao strode off and chuckled and muttered the word interesting twice. Meanwhile, at the Bullhorn Peak, Lin Xiaoyu was still sitting. Then suddenly a group of Ring men appeared. Lin Xiaoyu's face distorted as he noticed that someone was coming and that the earlier movement wasn't an illusion. He held his weapon and remembered what Cheng Dale said, that if he took the job, he had to take a risk of being discovered, and if the situation was not good he had to retreat as soon as possible. The iron-breaking spear with attributes the broken arm refined by blacksmith Zhu of Toad Village. Lin Xiaoyu claimed that it was not a good idea to run away at the slightest hint of trouble, and since there's a chance he could drive the Ring's tribe away and save the people from a worse situation. And even if thousands of warriors surrounded the mountain, as a warrior he would die fighting. Under the crescent moon, Lin Xiaoyu was surrounded by the Rings. The Ring had climbed the Bullhorn Peak. Lin Xiaoyu realized that the way down the mountain was blocked. He leaped towards a group of Rings and thought he would break his way out. A group of Rings flew from Lin Xiaoyu's attack. The Rings yelled that they had found Lin Xiaoyu, while the others told everyone to hurry up. As Lin Xiaoyu charged towards the Ring, he thought that a man with average talent who wasn't trying hard but still wanted to be a warrior might have been a delusion. The Rings readied their rope and mumbled that Jin Wendao had ordered them to capture Lin Xiaoyu alive. Lin Xiaoyu thrust his spear, calling it the threefold spear wave breaker. As he fought, He thought that holding his spear today felt different from before. He wondered if it was because he was doing the right thing. Lin Xiaoyu claimed the newly forged iron weapon seemed to have an inexplicable power passing into one's body, in addition to the wet cold. He pierced 2 ring men in one thrust, his heart was more stable, and he had sharper eyes and bursting strength. The rings gritted their teeth as they saw what had happened. Lin Xiaoyu smirked as he continued stabbing and unleashed his skill, Spear Wave Breaker 3 folds, killing quietly, just the occasional scream before death. The futile struggle to kill, and ultimately just a fight of animals, was endless. Many of the ring men fell dead, however, they still charged at Lin Xiaoyu. Exhausted, Lin Xiaoyu believed that it was probably almost over. He wondered if anyone would know what he had done if he took a leap. Maybe he could be like those who worshipped before him. In the mouth of the storyteller, the edge of the cliff broke where Lin Xiaoyu was standing. The rings watched him as he fell from the peak. While falling, on a certain day, in a certain month, in a certain year, the young warrior Lin Xiaoyu had fought against the Ring tribe, but was defeated and fell off the cliff. It turned out that every warrior belonged to the cliff. Lin Xiaoyu's eyes looked dead as he believed perhaps Lin Chong could find his bones under the cliff, as he was still looking for him. The rings watched him as he fell. Lin Xiaoyu released his spear. He thought that it may also have been able to exchange a few tears of the lady in the boudoir. Then perhaps no one would remember, as it didn't matter. Seconds passed. A lasso appeared, tying around Lin Xiaoyu's body. The rope tightened, making Lin Xiaoyu's eyes widen. Jin Wengdao, who held the rope, asked him if he wanted to die. He said that it would not be that easy. Jin Wengdao, 9th prince of the Northern Ring tribe and who was good at using a lasso. At the top of the city gate, Cheng Dale watched over the Ring camp. He claimed that the Ring tribe's troops were increasing and that at least a few thousand more people had come. After such a big defeat, their army's strength increased instead of decreasing, and no matter how he thought, it was not normal. The rings marched approaching the gate. In front, Jin Wendao asked if Cheng Dale was the general of King Niu Mountain, the lord of the imperial city, and the holder of the king's seal of the Yuzhu state, the divine axe general of the immortal art, and the Toad King who guarded the King Niu Mountain. Cheng Dale told him that he was correct and asked Jin Wendao if he was another traitor of the empire as he saw him dressed like that. Jin Wendao introduced himself as the 9th prince and said that he had heard that Cheng Dale was a great scholar, martial artist, and righteous person, and he knew that he was not that famous as him, but still, meeting him was better than being famous. Cheng Dale smiled, responding that when wandering around the world, the most important thing was the word righteous, and claimed that Jin Wendao was a good man that made him very happy. He asked him to hurry up and retreat, as he would spare his life today. Jin Wendao grinned and said that he prepared a small gift, and maybe after he saw his gift, perhaps Cheng Dale would change his mind as it was the first time they met. Cheng Dale scoffed and told Jin Wendao that he was still very polite. Jin Wendao ordered to bring his gift. Cheng Dale's face darkened. Lin Xiaoyu, who was tied down in a cart. Cheng Dale's face wrinkled in anger as he muttered Lin Xiaoyu's name, who he saw wounded. In the Toad Village wall, Lin Chong shouted Xiaoyu's name as he was surprised that Xiaoyu had been captured by the Ring tribe. Cheng Dale quickly ordered Qin Man and Sai Long to hold Lin Chong down, emphasizing the urgency of the situation. Now lying helpless and restrained beneath the combined strength of Qin Man and Sai Long, Lin Chong couldn't contain his frustration, cursing at Cheng Dale. With a furrowed brow, Lin Chong asks Cheng Dale, questioning the assurances about the no danger for Xiaoyu. Cheng Dale's response was a tense silence. His annoyance was evident as his jaw clenched and his eyes narrowed in frustration. With a steely gaze directed at Jin Wendao, Cheng Dale asks Jin Wendao about his intention. Jin Wendao, displaying a playful smile, invoked the concept of the word justice serves as Cheng Dale's guide, which is why Cheng Dale cannot bear to witness his friend's suffering. He requests Cheng Dale to open the gate, promising to return to his friends once inside. While maintaining a stern demeanor, Cheng Dale contemplates the concept of negotiation, emphasizing the importance of proposing acceptable terms. Cheng Dale raises concerns that letting them in might lead to slaughtering the people in the cities. Jin Wendao was seen wearing a silly smile, clarifying to Cheng Dale that he might have misunderstood him and that it was not a negotiation. His facade shifted suddenly menacing turn as he cleared that it was a threat. Raising his handheld fan with authority, he called out Meng Ziyun and ordered him to give Cheng Dale a taste of their intentions. Meng Ziyun, in response to Jin Wendao's command, displayed a sinister smile on his face. Out of nowhere, Xiaoyu's legs were ruthlessly stabbed by Meng Ziyun, putting him in agonizing screams that pierced the air. Cheng Dale has his face contorted in a grimace of annoyance as he called out to Xiaoyu, his concern mingled with frustration. With anger simmering, Cheng Dale directed a menacing threat at Meng Xian. He gritted his teeth in anger, and vowed to catch, chop, and feed him to the pigs. Amidst the tension, Jin Wendao cuts in as he slowly unfurls his handheld fan. He mentions his status as a prince and expresses that he has a good heart and can no longer endure watching the situation. Wearing a sardonic smirk, Jin Wendao continues his statement, demanding to Cheng Dale that the city be opened and surrendered within 3 days, or he would have Xiao Yu hacked to death before his eyes. Shortly after that moment, a gathering took place inside the Toad village to discuss the unfolding situation of Xiao Yu. A person then spoke about how Xiao Yu shared life and death with them, and they could not let him fall into the hands of the enemy. Rescue was imperative. Some expressed doubts about the practicality of saving someone from the rings, and some questioned whether they could save their own people. Others voiced out that they must not surrender to the rings or everyone in the village would die, while others suggested the possibility of digging a tunnel to reach Xiao Yu as he was tied up near the city wall. Some observed that it appeared as if the only viable option remaining was the daring approach of a raw raid, but they raised a valid concern, questioning the likelihood that the opposing side would win. Sharing an insightful perspective, Liu Bei acknowledged the difficulty of this mission, comparing it to their previous rescue of Liu Chong. It was mentioned that last time the enemy had been unaware of Liu Chong's significance, but now, with Xiao Yu, the enemy must have appointed much stronger guards. Continuing Liu Bei's analysis, he pointed out the possibility that even if they managed to capture an enemy general, the enemy may not have been willing to exchange Xiao Yu. A person argued for sacrificing Xiao Yu to exploit the ring's weakness in siege warfare. However, Fei Bao opposed his suggestion and issued a stern warning if he said one more word about saving, vowing to throw him out. Undeterred, the same person reiterated his point that once the war began, more people would have to be sacrificed. Amidst the heated discussion, Sen Yuan asked Cheng Dale what they should do. Cheng Dale, visibly burdened by the weight of the situation, gripped his chair tightly. He emphasized the need to save Xiao Yu without further debate. His face contorted with determination as he shifted the discussion toward how to save Xiao Yu. Meanwhile, in another section of the Ring Tribe camp's tent, Fu Delay offered some food to Little Cherry, explaining how hard it had been for him to get it. Fu Delay shared his plans for Cherry's safety, reassuring her that he would soon send her away to safety under the protection of Big Brother Kaimei, which Cherry confirmed. Curiously, Cherry inquired about the increased number of people in the camp while nibbling on her food. Fu Delay explained that Jin Wendao with his troops came over and took the position of commander-in-chief, and all the troops gathered by Kaimei became Jin Wendao's people. He cautioned Cherry not to go out lately, emphasizing that it was not safe outside. Cherry asked if Jin Wendao was scary. In response to her query about the 9th brother, Fu Delay explained that all the princes who wanted the throne were terrible, mentioning his father, the king of the Northern Ringers, had many children. Continuing his explanation, Fu Delay stated that Hull was the most popular. However, he was killed by who knows who, and only then the other 10 brothers had a chance to fight for the throne. Everyone was trying to find a way to draw the tribes of the grasslands to themselves, and that's why there was a big chaos. In an effort to reassure Cherry, Fu Delay shared his plan, stating that he would send her to the only princess of the rings, loved by their father and with whom he had a good relationship, ensuring Cherry's safety. Cherry expressed concern about Fu Delay's asking what about him, to which he responded, asserting that he was just an illegitimate son and not a threat to their claims to the throne, thus he would not be in danger. Fu Delay made a heartfelt promise to Cherry, assuring her that after her departure, he would come to find her after the war, to which Cherry responded simply, acknowledging his words. In the meantime, outside the camp tent, a man asked others if there weren't military prostitutes in the camp, expressing his discontent. One of them reported that all had been driven to the siege before, and other slave girls were the property of the chiefs. Frustrated, the man expressed his discontent, feeling mistreated despite following the 9th prince this far. Others shared their intentions, stating that after finishing the battle in the city, they would be going to do it really hard. The conversation took a turn when one of the men mentioned rumors of hidden beauty in the tent of the useless Prince Fu Delay, and asked the man who was introduced as Muki if he was interested. Muki was a bit surprised but expressed his interest, asking his subordinate to take him there. After a couple of minutes, Muki quickly made his way to Fu Delay's tent and urgently called out for Fu Delay, inquiring if Prince Fu Delay was there. Fu Delay, upon hearing the call, decided to go outside to check. He instructed Cherry to remain hidden and not to be seen by outsiders, to which Cherry acknowledged it. He put his hands to his swords as he prepared himself to approach Muki. Muki, with a sly grin, proposed a trade to Fu Delay. He offered a good knife in exchange for what he referred to as Fu Delay's woman. Fu Delay denied any knowledge of a woman, feigning ignorance about the presence of slaves. Undeterred, Muki persisted, insisting that there was a beauty hidden within Fu Delay's tent. He suggested lending her for a night since his men in the infantry camp were excited to let off some steam. Muki sweetened the deal, promising Fu Delay a cow, and placed his hands on Fu Delay's shoulder. However, Fu Delay vehemently denied that there were nothing there and told Muki to find someone else, even if he appeared scared with a snarling expression. Growing frustrated, Muki accused Fu Delay of being shameless and began to choke him. Fu Delay, despite being choked, reminded Muki of his royal status as the prince of the Northern Ringers King. He suggested that Muki should feel guilty for insulting his superiors. Muki, unimpressed by Fu Delay's status as a prince, justified his actions, stating that the grassland people only respected true warriors and not nobility. Cherry, hidden nearby, anxiously watched the confrontation. Fu Delay's thoughts raced, wondering why Cherry was looking outside and urging her to go back while resisting Muki's choke. Muki noticed a sudden movement that caused the curtain to shrink and remarked with curiosity. He released his grip on Fu Delay, a smile forming on his face. Muki commented that it appeared as though a little finch was hidden inside. Muki then slowly approached the tent, expressing curiosity about what the hidden person might taste like. Meanwhile, Fu Delay, who had a hard time standing up after Muki released him from choking, kept coughing. Fu Delay firmly warned that if Muki took a single step inside, it would cost him his life, gripping his swords with determination. Somewhere at the ring's camp tent, Muki confronted Fu Delay after the latter's threat and repeatedly asked about what was just said. Despite struggling to stand, Fu Delay managed to convey a threat, expressing his intent to kill Muki, even though he stuttered to say it. Muki's eyebrow wrinkled with anger as he commented on Fu Delay growing a pair. Suddenly, he kicked Fu Delay in the stomach, telling him that he was a piece of crap. Fu Delay couldn't suppress a wince. Blood escaped his lips in response to the powerful kick. With disdain in his voice, Muki lectured Fu Delay for drawing a sword against him when he couldn't even hold it properly. Continuing his taunts, Muki stated that his actions were merely a form of respect while toying with one of Fu Delay's slave girls. Despite his aggression, Muki mentioned that if it was not for Kai Mei's sake, he could have killed him otherwise. He placed his foot on Fu Delay's head as a display of dominance. Fu Delay, despite his injuries, defiantly forbade Muki from entering the tent while shakily gripping one of Muki's legs as he did so. Muki grew annoyed and demanded that Fu Delay get out of the way, kicking him once more. Fu Delay threw away, as Fu Delay spat out some blood after the kick and Muki walked back to the tent, while Fu Delay was lying on the ground. Witnessing the fight, one man noted to Fu Delay that he dared to challenge the right-hand man of the 9th prince, which was Muki. Another man remarked on the recklessness, commenting about some madmen who did not care about life in the infantry battalion. A person suggested whether they should inform boss Kai Mei and asked others if Fu Delay had not been killed. However, someone dismissed the idea, stating that Kai Mei wouldn't care about the situation, and they should mind their own business as they decided to leave. Another person downplayed the seriousness of the situation, noting that Fu Delay had only lost a woman. Inside the tent, Cherry's scream pierced outside the tent, filled with fear. Muki, wearing a perverted laugh, taunted Cherry, urging her not to run away. He shouted in triumph as he captured her. Cherry, terrified while resisting, pleaded for him to release her, her voice filled with desperation. Muki yelped in pain, seemingly bitten by Cherry. He retaliated by kicking her, causing her to fall to the ground. Frustrated, Muki kicked Cherry again and berated her. Cherry, in agony, called out for Fu Delay to save her while her voice trembled. Fu Delay, upon hearing Cherry's desperate plea, recalled every statement of his brother, Kai Mei, and slowly began to stand up.